Turnaround Initiative was really designed for failing schools or districts that had failing schools. When we partnered with the University of Virginia, we realized that we did not have failing schools, but we were at the point that we felt like our district was just at a plateau. We weren't going higher, and we thought that we were more capable, and so we wanted to take on this initiative just to raise our schools to the next level. They've got to process it, talk about it, practice it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Our program is really focused on building leadership capacity. To us, it's how can we develop the capacity of leaders to lead this work, to think about how they lead change over time, knowing that we are only going to partner with Lawton for a set amount of time, and so it's our job to help build systems, structures, and leaders who can lead this work beyond us, and we do that through executive education.
The first group is called Cohort 12 because it was the 12th year that the University of Virginia had worked on the Turnaround Initiative. Cohort 12 consists of Pat Henry Elementary School, Hubish Elementary, MacArthur Middle School, Tomlinson Middle School, and Central Middle School. They started in the summer of 2015, so they are right now in their second year of the 3-year program. The next cohort is Cohort 13, and we added 4 more schools this year, and that's Ridgecrest, Edison, Eisenhower Elementary School, and Lawton High.
So we say 1 year is the runway year where we're only supporting the district, and then year 2 and 3 is where we're working with the schools. So for Cohort 12, we'll be ending our formal support to them at the end of this year. Where Cohort 13, they're only in their first year, so we'll continue working with Lawton next year to support Cohort 13.
So if I said this to you, describe or define right now without looking first, what would a deep data dive be? How would you describe a deep data dive?
Initially, because it was new, it was a change, teachers were nervous. They didn't understand it completely. Anything that went wrong, they blamed on the initiative, and here in Lawton we call it the LEAD initiative. But after going through it a year, they all realized the value of it, and people say we can't go back to the way we used to do business.
I mean, it is intense, there's a lot to it. We try to take it step by step. I think it's worked out really well. It's a lot about collaboration, working together.
One of the drawbacks from UVA at the very beginning was the paperwork. It was a lot of processing. But in the long run, I can look back and I can say, I know my standards better.
The L stands for leadership, the E is effective teaching practices, the A is accountability, and the D is data-driven instruction. With the acronym of LEAD, those schools were actually leading our district to how are we going to do business in the future? What changes are the right changes for our district? So they really were our leaders, so we called them our LEAD schools.
It is what it says it is. I mean, it is about leadership, and it's about bringing dramatic change to schools.
It has brought such unity to the schools. Sometimes it's academic, sometimes it's improving the culture, the climate of the school. Sometimes it's improving student behavior in the school. Sometimes it's improving communication. They all just had to really focus in on what does our school need to get better and move forward.
They talk about big rocks, and each school kind of pick something that they want, they really feel like their school needs. The main thing most schools do focus on to start off with is that data-driven instruction and collaboration. And then after that, like, schools can focus on attendance, on the culture of their building, on procedures, on behavior. So it really is just trying to really have a specific plan so that we can all work together to make sure that the school just gets better every day.
Oh, you're smiling. That's good.
Of course, I know these are 6th graders coming in from 5th grade, but when you start in the right place, you can just take them so much further.
That's exciting.
They really have you take a look at the 4 levers, which are leadership. What is your district leadership doing? What are your principals doing as leaders? And what are your teachers doing as leaders? They also take a look at what infrastructures do you have for effective instruction. They look at your assessment program. They look at how you're using data to drive your teaching. It's really just great teaching practices, effective teaching practices. And as we learn things, we keep looking at each other going, wow, we should have been doing that all along. Why haven't we been doing this? Another lever is figuring out what differentiated support and accountability schools need based on their situation. What one school needs might not be what another school needs, so how are we actually meeting their needs and helping them to get to the level that they need to be? The fourth lever is talent management. That has several layers too. Talent management can be finding the right teachers, and right now with our shortage of teachers in Oklahoma, our main emphasis is not only on finding teachers, but how do we grow teachers professionally to become the best teacher they can be?
One of the things that UVA provided for us, it provided a built-in time for us to collaborate, and not just amongst grade levels, not just amongst teams, but to get that administration. Our building principal meets with us once a week where we can share our information, and just having that set time, that's one less burden on us. We have someone to bounce ideas off of, we have someone to share our thoughts and even our fears with. I've had times where I've looked at a standard and I've thought, what am I going to teach? How am I going to teach it? And having that opportunity to communicate has been very beneficial.
We make sure we collaborate. We call it our collaboration time. And principals are involved in that, co-teachers as well, special ed. And so we're really trying to just get everyone involved and make sure it is scheduled, it is devoted time.
I think a lot of times our district administrators don't get to hear from the teachers or see what we're doing. And with some of the requirements that UVA puts on us, they have to communicate with us. They have to hear from us on a regular basis, and it helps them to know how they can help us better.
When they come together, they are prepared with resources, they're prepared with their curriculum, their pacing guide, the assessments that they gave last week. The principal is in there with them. They lay their data on the table and discuss it. They look at next week's objectives, they break them down and really get a true understanding. And that's so important right now as we've implemented new Oklahoma state standards. And so making sure that the teachers truly understand what are the students expected to do.
An awesome thing that I've seen that's growing is those new teachers now, not that they were kind of left alone themselves, but they're even getting more support than they ever have before.
We've related it to being a coach because we talked about, the coach is right there on the field during practice, making changes right there when they're happening. You don't wait till the game to give your players feedback. We can't wait till a once a year, go in the classroom for 40 minutes and observe a teacher and then give them their evaluation. How's that helping them grow? It's hard for the teachers to say, okay, treat me like a student, but that's what we want them to do, is to start practicing. What will you say to a student? How will that sound? I'm called a shepherd, and that means my job is to provide the principal of each of our lead schools that balance between support and accountability. In the past, we've all attended professional development workshops. The ideas were great. We come home excited, but then we just get busy again going back into our normal routine, and we don't follow through and do what we want to do. And there are so many important aspects of the LEAD program that the principals have admitted, if I wasn't in their building every week talking to them about it, checking on them, holding them accountable for it, they probably wouldn't have happened. And so I get to spend half a day, I spend 2.5 hours every week in each one of the buildings. So half of my time is spent being a shepherd.
We're here really to support and monitor progress of the Turnaround Initiative. And so we've had the opportunity to work with Lawton rolling out their LEAD Turnaround Initiative. And so our job is to come here periodically and get a snapshot of where things are and how things are going.
Not only things that are going really well, and the places that you should continue focusing, but then also what can we do to support you all to prioritize, set a new set of priorities for the next couple of months.
Particularly within the LEAD schools, I think one thing that has been just a year in the making and is a huge success that you all can celebrate right now is the rollout of a really strong assessment strategy and data management system.
They can come back to the table and see what are the misunderstandings of the students, what mistakes did they make and why, how do I need to correct those, and really dig deep instead of just saying, my class did pretty well.
Lawton Public Schools has always kind of looked at data and test results. But really now, what do we do with that information? How do we use that to drive our instruction? We're looking at an objective. How can we break down that objective? What are we really teaching? How can we make sure that we're teaching in a way that students are understanding?
As it unfolds, each stage, I can see them growing, and as they grow and they see successful data, the way they feel is it'll change the way they teach forever.
Something that we had not done as much of in the past is something called embedded tests. And it's testing an individual skill or standard to make sure that the students are successful and making sure that our wording and our format is similar to the actual state test that they will be preparing to take. And so that was one of the biggest changes that we had to make, is getting our thinking, what is our specific focus in a skill-based area, and how are they going to be tested on it.
The teachers are accountable, the students are accountable, so it's about accountability, and it's not about what am I going to teach the student, it's about what has the student learned.
When we go to do the training, because we have opportunities to actually go to the University of Virginia and train with amazing people, the thought process, the planning that they've done to put into the program, when we leave there, it's almost like going to a retreat. I mean, it's just amazing, the professional growth and how much we have changed, and our thought process and our practices have changed based on what we've learned from them.
I really think it has helped to make us stronger our second year in. I really feel like we are making a lot of strides and we're getting more comfortable with it. And when we first talked about it, we would always say UVA, UVA, and we really have changed that to be LEAD. We're taking ownership of it. It's an LPS thing, and we want to make it work for us.
I've told several people it's the best thing that I've ever seen in my 34-year career, and it's the best thing Lawton Public Schools could have done.